Hey guys, welcome to Jack Live. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We're really excited about this edition. This is our fourth week of Jack Live, guys. We're super excited about our guests tonight, and I hope you guys are too. Make sure once you guys get in here, share, share, share. Thank you for all the comments and all the great remarks that you guys have had for the last few weeks here that we've been doing this. I can't be more excited about the success of this Jack Live show and the way that things have been going here at JaKKed. My name's Tom Lloyd. I'm the owner of JaKKed, and I hope you guys all feel free to ask a bunch of questions tonight and get in here. And we're gonna get our guest in here tonight. And Morgan, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for jumping in here. Clyde, how you doing? Jimmy Greer, what's going on, man? Christopher, how are you? Make sure, guys, once you jump on here, make sure you guys put on there where you're from in the comments, just so everybody knows who else tuning into this tonight. And we will get started here in just a moment.
Hey!
What's going on, Mr. Poche? How are you?
Oh, we're here, man. I'm trying to get set up,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your day to do this for us, and we really appreciate it. And we'll get started here in a minute. I wanted to take a moment to, have a quick moment of silence for Nick and his family down there with that deal with Okeechobee from the FLW tournament last week. And we want to remember him, and lots of prayers go out to him and his family. So we'll just take a quick moment here for him. Well, guys, like I said, tonight we have Bassmaster Elite Series, MLF Pro, JaKKed Pro, Keith Poche on live with us. Thanks for being here, Keith.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. We're excited and excited to get your year started, I'm sure. Where are we heading first?
Lake Martin, right up the road from my house. One of my first tournaments I fished on the pro, side was Lake Martin back in 2005 when they started the weekend series. So I got a pretty good history on Lake Martin, but, we haven't been there lately as far as any major events. So it's been a while since I fished it, but it's a great lake. It's got a lot of fish, and, we'll see some big fish as well, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So guys, keep rolling in the comments down there, questions that you guys have. I'll try to keep up with those. Make sure you guys share for your followers and your friends and stuff like that, and we'll get this going tonight. What kind of lake is Lake Martin? We got a question, and how are you going to approach it?
It's fairly clear. It's got a lot of spotted bass in it, a few largemouth. You can get some stained water back in the creeks, but typically it's got a lot of rock. A few laydowns, some old stumps. When they flooded the lake, they cut a lot of the timber out of it. So you got a lot of stumps and mainly rock. So, red clay banks. It almost fishes similar or looks similar as Lake Cherokee where we were at last February. So, but it fishes totally different. We don't have any smallmouth or anything. So. Typically just spots and largemouth. I know a lot of guys, they catch a lot of big striper in it too. So, but recently in the last few years, got a lot of blueback herring. So I have not fished it, had any events, since the blueback herring have been introduced to Lake Martin, but I don't think it's changed too much from when I used to fish it. It fishes fairly similar to what I'm used to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, without divulging too many details, I know you're competing probably against a lot of guys that may be watching this. In fact, Aaron Strickland says, "What's the first bait you're going to be throwing there?"
Well,
what's the first cast? We all know that catching one on the first cast is, some people think that's superstitious and bad luck. But what's the first cast going to be?
I can catch them a lot of different ways, but typically it's going to depend on what the weather's going to be doing that, within a month. We can have a warm spell and the fish can get really shallow, or You know, it can stay really cold, and the fish will be, really lethargic, and they can stay off the bank quite a bit. But, it has a lot of brush in it, a lot of docks. And of course, I love skipping a jig around. So that will probably be one of my main techniques going into this event. I can fish it slow. You can drag it on some rocky points, or, you can flip it underneath docks, or roll it through a brush pile. A jig is really versatile that time of the year. You can fish it from shallow to deep. So, you can really find where those fish are positioned and what depth they're in by just going down the bank, or keying in on a few different brush piles or a few different depths, and, with that jig. So it's a great bait, and it catches a lot of big fish that time of the year.
Sure. I'm sure you're going to get on the lake and do some more practice. But I had a question. A guy said, "Are you going to be focusing up lake or down lake?" I've never been there, so I don't know. They're trying to get you dialed in. They're trying to get you all the secrets out, huh?
Yeah. It's got good fish on both ends. And I'm not going to be partial to either one. I'm gonna keep my mind open, because it has been a while since I fished an event there. I think I had a team tournament. The last one I fished, I had a little over 17, right around 17 pounds or so. I had a mixed bag of spots and largemouth. So, and I caught them both ways. So it's really a kind of a deal where you're going to catch one here and there. You can pull up on some spots and catch a lot of numbers, but they're going to be a lot smaller. You're not going to catch some fish, and a lot of big fish grouped up, I should say. Sure. I'm have to run a lot of different areas, run the lake, and fish a lot of different spots. So it's just going to be one here and one there. And you really have to fish high percentage areas and hope that you can get that good bite and execute. Sure.
So aside from, you seem pretty jacked up about this first event, but after that first one, what's the lake that you're looking forward to going to the most after that?
Man, we have a lot of good lakes on the schedule. Kentucky Lake will be a good one. I've done well there in the past. It's going to be, and we go back north. I'm kind of torn going north. I've caught them decent in the past, and there's times I didn't catch them. North is just a different breed for me. So, I'd rather stay south, but unfortunately we have to go up there.
Yeah.
Lake Travis. I think Lake Travis would be a good one. We're going there for Bass Fest.
Sure.
And what I hear, I've never been there. I've never seen the place. I know Mark Rose won an FLW event there a couple years ago. And what I like about it, what I've read up on it, it can be tough that time of the year when we're going in the summer. It's gonna be a lot of party, people. It's gonna, how it is in the summer, and things like that. So, and I like that. I like a tough fishery. I don't like a slugfest. I like when it's a grind, when you have to, put one in the boat. When it's almost weighing time. You got 4 fish. You need one more. And that's going to be a good bag. I like that. I like when it's tough.
Sure. Well, good deal. That's that kind of answered one of our questions. John Booten says, "What do you think about Texas Fest at Travis?" So, good deal there. He was all over that.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Now, I assume that's how it's going to be. Like I said, I've never been there, but what I've seen from it and what I've heard, it's going to be a tough fishery. So, and I like that.
Sure.
And Sabine River, we're going back to Orange, Texas again, later on, I think 1st of April. So there'll be some decent weights a couple of days, but overall, there again, it's going to be a tough event. We're limited only to Texas waters now. We got notified, earlier this year, that once the schedule came out, that we will not be able to fish Louisiana waters. Now, we have not been briefed totally on what is off limits as far as the actual Sabine River. Can we not fish across from the boat ramp? I have no idea. I don't know all those details yet, but what they pretty much said is we can only fish Texas waters. So
you think that's partly because of the whole deal that happened there with the Louisiana guys and the water?
Yeah.
What's ours, what's yours kind of thing?
Yeah. I don't do that. I don't fish the marsh really when I go down. I've been there twice, and I've had, 2 good events there. I don't do that, but there are some areas that are off limits that guys try to go in, and it's always a sketchy situation where you should or shouldn't go. And
Yeah.
man, I stay out of it. I don't even go to those parts. I fish, up in a river somewhere. I do something totally different. I'm not even nowhere near a marsh. So
yeah. You know better.
They're
better
trying
from coming
to
from there.
eliminate any kind of conflict, any kind of issues that
Sure.
may come about with the Louisiana law, and it's something that Louisiana needs to look at in future events. I mean, they had the Classic down in New Orleans back in 2011, and that could have been a factor there, but it ended up not being. But the whole state of Louisiana on that south end, south of that intercoastal area is some some private areas that are people are not supposed to fish, but that
Right.
can be accessible.
Sure.
So,
Good deal. Good deal. Well, you kind of mentioned talking about it a little bit. I think you got a new jig that just come out not too long ago, I guess.
yeah.
We've been working on this deal for quite some time, and I know you were getting a little antsy, I'm sure, because I was, to try to get this deal out. And so take us back to the beginning. We kind of chatted about it, and what kind of made you want to move forward with it, and tell us kind of what you were fishing before, or why this was important to you.
Yeah, I fell in love with a finesse jig, early on in my career, and I caught a lot of fish on them, and I still do. But most finesse jigs that I would fish, they would be a light wire hook. If I got hung up, I'd pull it loose. It'd come loose, but the hook would be all stretched out, and you'd pretty much have to throw it away then, because I mean, once that hook stretches out, it's weakened, and you just
Yep.
don't want to take a chance of getting a big bite and losing that fish. So, I fell in love with a finesse jig. It's small profile, and it goes in a lot of tight places, and especially fishing behind a lot of behind other people, or in high pressured lakes that see a lot of baits and that have been caught before. Fishing. I fish at 14, 16 pound test line. And I catch a lot of fish on them. But like I was saying, one of the main problems was that hook. That hook and most finesse jigs just would not stand up to the type of fishing that I was doing. I'm throwing this bait way back underneath a dock. Typically,
Sure.
there's some brush or rock back in there, or in a brush top, or a lay down, just going down the bank. And when I would get a bite, and to try to get this fish out, I would lose a lot of these fish because that hook would not, hold up to the pressure that I was putting or trying to get that fish out, and
Sure.
you really, it's like flipping, you take a, 4 or 5/0 hook, you're flipping a beaver or something around a dock or lay down. Well, I would take that finesse jig and I would put it in the same places I would put that beaver or whatever you flip. But it was just not enough of hook or not enough bait for me to execute that fish. So I wanted a more beefier hook, but still that small profile bait, that small look, to still get those bites, because I would fish behind guys and get bit or catch, get more bites than guys that are flipping a more bulkier, beefier jig. So same profile, same technique, but just a little bit more power in that hook. And like I said, I'm throwing a little bit bigger line, a little bit stiffer rod, because when I get bit, when I'm flipping way back in there, I want that fish to move. I want him to come to the boat. I don't want to take a chance of losing that fish, playing him too much, wrapping me around a pole, or getting me in that brush and breaking me off, or straightening that hook out. So,
Absolutely.
talking with you and coming up with that jig, and I like to say, one of the first jigs that you made me, it's just by the fly. I told you what I wanted, and you sent me a jig. You sent me one jig, and it was in 2016. We was going to Bull Shoals, Norfolk, and I had one jig. And the first 2 days of that event, I caught 100% of every fish I weighed in for the first 2 days, I caught on that one jig with that big hook. And I was flipping, isolated logs, flipping around, docks and stuff like that. I never lost a fish. Execution was there. And going into the third day, I was in third place. And I flipping buckbrush. The fish were spawning on bull shows, and it had the power. It had the power build, but it had the finesse look. And I was going behind. I was getting the bites when other guys wasn't.
Yep, absolutely. So walk us through a couple other characteristics on this bait. We talked about the big hook, but what are some of the other things you like about it, and what you use this jig for?
Mainly skipping. I skip a lot with this jig, and this head. I like these flat spots on the head. When I really sling that bait underneath there, I think those flat spots really, it's like a rock. You've skipped a rock on a pond or something.
Yep. That
flat spot is real important. When it hits the water, it's able to keep going, and that flat spot really enables me to propel that jig way back underneath there, and get to where I need to be. So that's real key, and I think that's something that was a great addition to that, and also the bait keeper. This mushroom part that keeps your bait on. I mean, that suction part. I mean, you ain't got nothing to worry about. I mean, because when I'm skipping and I'm throwing that bait, I'm really putting a lot of power into it, and a lot of times those trailers would fall down. But with this one, it stays up. When I really sling it underneath there and it's skipping across the water, I don't have to worry about that trailer bunching up on the back. It really holds that trailer straight on that hook. So when I skip it back underneath there, it looks just like when I made that cast. So
you may need to take that one off before you tie it on again. The inside of that one may be a little tore up.
I've been playing with it a little bit.
Yep.
But
I hear you.
But yeah, for sure, man. You and I, you had some good ideas. I had some good ideas. I really feel like that you and I have really built the perfect finesse jig. It's 7/16 and 5/16. I'm more partial to 5/16. That's just what I like. But
sure,
I think we built the perfect finesse jig. It's not too big. I mean, we got a 4/0 hook in it. A lot of guys like to use a small wire hook for light line or whatever. I'll tell you, I can throw 10 and 12 on it and still set the hook. I mean, I ain't got no problem.
Yeah.
But I won't, because I don't have to.
Right.
I don't have to. Why? You can still, skip around docks and let it fall. Fish eat it on the fall with 14, 16 pound test line. Not a problem. Won't hurt it a bit. So, and I just feel more confident when I got that bigger line on it, in case I get wrapped around a pole, or if I get that 4 or 5 pounder on, because I've had them on with this jig, and I don't want to break off. I want to execute. That's the number one thing. Why get a bite if you can't put it in the boat?
Yep, absolutely.
That's stupid. So we built a jig that's going to get the bites, for one. That's built, that looks the profile, that looks like it should look, but it has the hook, and it has the ability to execute when it counts. That's the main thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So walk us. We talked about some line. I'm just showing a gentleman who was asking to see the jig again, so I'm just showing this. But walk us through. We talked about the line, 14 to 16 pound. What type of ratio reel are you throwing this on? And then, of course, what kind of rod and trailer?
Yeah, like I said, 14, 16 pound Sunline. I fluorocarbon. 99% of the time. 100% of the time. But gear ratio. 7:3. 8 to 1, whatever you prefer, whatever you're comfortable with. Me, I'm 7 to 3, just something right in the middle of the pack. I don't nothing too slow, nothing too fast, because I don't want to fish a jig too fast. You can fish it too fast sometimes. So, and then you don't want it too slow, because when you get bit, especially when you in that stuff or around in the back of a dock, you want to get up on it. You want to get the slack out. You want to hit that fish, and you want to get him moving. So 7.3 is about, perfect for me personally, but everybody's different. It's really a personal preference on that. But as far as a rod, any kind of 7 foot, medium heavy, nothing too light. You want a little backbone this rod, and I say that because, especially for skipping, I got a new rod that's about to come out. I'm excited about it. I've been working on it for a couple months now with our rod, and but you want a little bit stiffer rod for a couple reasons. Number one is when I'm pitching or skipping, I do a lot of underhand or side. I'm skipping and stuff like this, barely getting it under or underneath the treetop or whatever. I want that bait to be with that rod the whole time. I don't want a limber rod that bait's dragging behind, because I'm not as accurate. You can't be as accurate with that bait or that skip with a limber rod. And number two, I'm on a short line. Okay, when I'm flipping or pitching or skipping with this jig, typically I'm 10, 15 foot away. When I hit that fish, I don't want a rod that's going to bowl over and let him go. I want a stiffer rod that's going to, for one, get the hooks that right away, and I want to move that fish. I don't want to give that fish a chance to start diving or get wrapped around something. I want to move that fish from where he's at, because there's been so many times that you get a bite and you wait long, or your rod ain't stiff enough, and that fish is dogging you and getting down in that brush or around those poles or in that treetop, and you're never gonna get him out. You might as well just pop your line, because he's done. So a stiffer rod, medium, heavy, lean towards heavy, just for that reason.
Sure. And then the last thing was the trailer. And I guess that varies by season and by lake and stuff like that. But I mean, what's your go-to?
You can't go wrong with green pumpkin. Just a small profile green pumpkin crawl. I mean, anything small profile that you can skip that has a little bit of action, that's going to give a little bit of meat to that jig. You have your skirt, but you want to feel that skirt out. You want to give the body to that bait. And it doesn't matter whatever your favorite,
Sure.
plastic is. I mean, it's not, I lean more towards Lucky Strike, but whatever that you feel comfortable with, I don't think it really matters. I think as far as the small profile is more important than what kind of plastic you're throwing, the actual size of it. This is about 3 inches, and it's real, quarter. It's real small and narrow, for that finesse look. That not that big bulky deal, that fish see every day. You want something that's that you're gonna get a lot of bites with, but also that big bite too that you need. So, and it's easy to throw around and skip. It's not gonna get much drag.
Sure. Daryl Williams asks, this is a small profile jig. Would it be wise to use it on ledges during the winter time, or should I stick with a heavier brush jig in that water?
It just depends on how deep you're fishing. I would lean more towards a 7/16. If you're going to do that, just to get down a little bit more, back down to a little bit smaller line, that 14-pound test line, not the 16. Get that line down a little bit faster. I fish it deeper. I do fish them deeper. Let me tell you, I fish this jig any way you can fish it. I swim it, pitch it, skip it, drag it. But you want to go to 7/16, just something a little bit heavier and give them that finesse look. And depends on what kind of water clarity you have as well. It's a smaller profile bait. You want something that they gonna be able to see. You may want to get the black and blue, something like that, a little bit deeper that they can pick up at that, deeper water. But if it's a shallower ledge, you can go with the natural, the green pumpkin. Is a great selection. So, this is one of my favorite colors. We call it brown melon. I catch so many fish everywhere I go in the country. I don't care if it's Florida, if it's New York, California. I don't care where it is. That jig right there, that setup right there, will be on my rod and reel 100% of the time. I don't care where we go. If I'm either gonna catch them on it or I'm gonna have to do something different. But I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. I mean, there's just no doubt about it, because I've done so good with this jig, with this setup right here. I almost feel bad telling people about it, because I mean, people, we kind of get away from that. We make things more complicated than what it is. But let me tell you something. This right here is that's all you need, man.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, we got this banner that we just got made, and that brown melon's right there in the middle. So
that's cool.
I
haven't seen it yet. That's all right. I like that.
Brown melon and brown pumpkin there. But yeah, guys, that jig, since we actually made that color, he was kind of keeping it a secret from me. But once we put it out on the market, man, I switched over to using that jig too at Lake of the Ozarks, and it's phenomenal. That color is, and I'm normally, a natural to black and blue kind of guy, but that's as natural looking as it gets. So
yeah,
definitely so. Joe Wilson asks, I use a 6.6 medium heavy. Should I go up to 7? What are your thoughts on different lengths? I know you're on the shorter side, so I think maybe it depends on your stature, if you will.
Yeah, I'm 5'10" and a quarter.
Yeah.
No, I like a 7 foot just because of that's just what I use. You can go lighter. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. I think that the action is more important than the length,
Sure.
just because of the skipping, as I was explaining earlier, and the actual hook set. So going smaller is not a bad thing. I've even skipped with a bigger rod, like a 7.4. So it's a little bit tougher, but it's all about what you feel comfortable with. Every man's different. The way you skip, the way you pitch, as long as you get it done, as long as you can get that bait where it needs to be, I think is the ultimate deal, and be able to get that fish out. So
yeah, and that's just it. I mean, I found myself going to Lake of the Ozarks and fishing docks all the time. That sometimes a 6'9", a little less than 7 foot's a little bit better for me. Trying to skip under cables and stuff like that. But like you said, I think it's really just what feels most comfortable, and just try different things. I would say, and just see what works. And obviously, I don't know how many rods you got on your deck at any given time, but at least 5 or 7 or 8 or whatever. And each one of those rods, I mean, if you think about a golf bag, for those of you that play golf, I mean, each one of those is used for a different application. So you can't say that all the time fishing a jig, you're going to use a specific rod. So just play around with it and see what works for you guys. So
yeah.
Benton People says, I like to know why you guys can't use a net in tournaments.
I actually like that rule. I don't want to pick on FLW, but you ever watch an FLW tournament when they're trying to net a fish by themselves? That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, they're used to the co-anglers netting them, and
last day they got to net them by themselves.
Right. No, absolutely.
It's the most awkward looking thing I've ever seen in my life. But no, I think that really takes the sport to a new level. Sure. Every sport has their own niche and, whatever. And I think bass, really took it to that level when they eliminated nets, because that makes that sport, or that makes our technique that much more tough. You really have to play that fish. If it's a big one, you have to swing it in a boat right. Technique really becomes a big factor in fighting a fish than just, let me just reel him in and get the net. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
Learning how to play the fish, kneel down and lip him, and it just puts more excitement into it. It makes it that much more interesting to watch, and it looks much more natural when you actually lean down and you grab that fish by the lip.
Yep.
and that's just amazing, especially if it's a big one.
Yeah, especially in big old smallmouth up north.
I will flip a 5-pounder.
Sure.
And I'll give my wife a heart attack when she watches it too.
Yeah.
But I will flip a 5-pounder sometimes because I got a good hook and I'm throwing 16-pound test line.
Right.
But I don't recommend it, but I do it a lot. I do it a lot in MLF.
Yeah.
I love MLF. I'd rather take the penalty. You'll hear me say it on MLF. I'll take the penalty. I'll just get the fish in a boat because sometimes you play them, you can lose them. They'll jump and they'll throw it. I keep pressure and I just throw them in. My first MLF event that I ever fished, I won it. And I won it on a finesse jig, pitching around docks and shallow cover. So I didn't know you back then. I was using another jig. But
you've had some other success fishing the prototypes of that jig, though, I think, on MLF.
Yeah, and,
right?
I've jacked some big ones this year on MLF. And, the shows are about to start, or they're starting to air now. I think mine's not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. And, I jacked some good ones on these jigs right here for sure. So you guys be able to see it.
Make sure you guys tune in for that. I know we will be for sure.
Yeah.
So Josh Fulton says, how many colors? We got 9 colors on this particular jig, 2 different sizes. So that's good stuff. So
I have my favorites, of course, but we have several different colors, and they're all used in certain scenarios depending on watercolor and what part of the country you're fishing, so and how deep you're fishing them. So it's just really depends on the situation on which ones I use.
Yep, absolutely. So talk to us a little bit more about MLF. I know you enjoy that style. You and I have had lots of conversations about that. And what's the biggest thing that you like about that style? And I guess tell the folks what it is, I guess, before we even go there, because some people may not know.
Yeah, MLF is major league fishing. It's built for television, in my opinion. It's on the Outdoor Channel. We just moved to Discovery Channel this past, I think it was this past fall. So we're on Outdoor and Discovery now, and the World Championships on CBS. But MLF it's a different format than Bassmaster Elite Series, stuff like that, or FLW. The way we do it is you catch as many as you want to catch, and the weight just accumulates. And at the end of the day, whoever has the highest weight, and of course, highest so many, you move on to a different round. So, but there's no information, and that's one of the things I really like about it. We show up, they give us a location to report to, and we'll go to a hotel, and we do our original meetings or whatnot, and we'll find out what day we're fishing. And we can't get on Google Earth. We can't do anything. We can't research any lakes around or nothing. I mean, we got an idea, just
Sure.
knowing where it's at. We have an idea of what lakes are in that area, but we can't get on Google Earth. We can't freshen our memories. We can't get on our GPS and say, oh, I've been here, I've been there. I mean, we don't know where we're fishing 100% until that next morning. They put us in a truck and we head out and we show up that morning. And that's what I like about it. The suspense of not knowing, and everybody's on the same playing field, and on FLW and Bass and stuff, the schedule's out ahead of time. Everybody will research it, and some people get help or information or whatever. You have to compete against stuff like that. Well, MLF is the purest fishing there is out there. I mean, it is 100% no info, and it's just let's go fishing, and I love it, and I've done well. I mean, it's really, I feel confident. I feel confident that, I'm not fishing against somebody's, that's found a spot or whatever. I'm fishing against right now in the moment, and that gives me a lot of confidence.
Cool, absolutely. Another question was asked. I was writing it down. Do you trim your skirts on those jigs, or do you just take it out of the package and throw the trailer on?
Man, I throw it just like it is. I I don't think that matters. I think more skirt better, more
Yep.
action. So
Sure.
yeah.
Good deal. And then the other question was actually probably about your shirt there. Any tips on the Echo Map Chirp 93 SV? I can't tell you what that is, but I'm sure you know what that is.
They lost me there, man. I don't know.
It's something about the Garmin unit. He said he had had a new one sitting there. But do you know anything about Echo Map on that?
I don't
No,
know. I
not sure.
use 7610s, with the side view and the pan optics. I mean, I can help you there, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that a
No
particular
worries.
unit? Is that the name of a unit?
Um.
I use a
It,
7610. It's just a
okay.
10-inch screen.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Brad Dunkerley, if you got a follow up on that, we'll try to get that answered for you. Good deal. Marty Bulkey says, Keith, what's your favorite trailer for cold water? In the Ozarks, we fish a lot in the winter, cold tournaments. Which trailer is the new jig for the best match? So kind of goes back to what we talked about before, but is there a difference that you do it in cold water versus, when it warms up a little bit?
Not really. I mean, no. I mean,
Okay.
I use the same trailer most of the time. Like I said, a 5/16 it has a slow fall. No, I mean, I use the same thing. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I've been to the Lake of the Ozarks in the wintertime, so I
Yeah.
really don't know what to tell you. But typically in the wintertime, if the fish are suspended, they'll hit it on the fall. But, you have to, if they're in brush tops, stuff like that, just work it slow. That slow down. That's the number one thing. I don't know if it really, the trailer matters, unless you use some kind of pork chunk that really slows it down, which I don't use. I try to, I'm deer hunting or I'm by the fire or something inside when it's cold. I've been on Lake Martin last,
I was going to
month.
say, you've been fishing a little bit.
But, yeah. I mean, I've been on Lake Martin fishing in the cold, but because I have to. When it's cold, I'm inside.
Yep, absolutely. David Gainey says, cloudy days, do you tend to use black and blue or stay with the green pumpkin?
I don't think that matters. Watercolor may play a factor, but the actual, if it's cloudy or sunny, I don't think that matters. You want to pay attention also, what the fish are feeding on, time of year, is it bluegill bite, or are they eating on the crawfish? That really matters. And if you catch a fish, if he's spitting up something, you can see the pinchers, sticking out of their mouth a lot of time. I was in Table Rock several years ago, and I was up a creek and I was throwing a finesse jig, and the fish I caught, there was some good chunks. I could see the crawfish pinchers, and I pulled that crawfish out. And I tell you, I matched that crawfish. I made some skirts, and I tell you, man, I ended up catching them good. I mean, I made the top 50. I didn't win it or nothing, but
sure.
I think matching that hatch made a difference. Because I started getting more bites. So understanding what the fish are feeding on, depending on the time of the year, I think would be more of what I would tune in on and then it's cloudy or sunny.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. Kevin Baxter says, I'm just saying if you throw the 9-inch ringer from Lucky Strike on MLF, you'd make the cut quicker.
He's probably right.
Do you know Kevin?
Right. I don't know. Who's that now?
Kevin Baxter.
I don't.
Tackle Freaks, I believe. I may be wrong on that either.
I hate dragging a worm. I hate dragging jig, man.
Yeah.
Flip a jig.
I hear you. Scott Williams says, do you spray your jigs with fish attractant or just leave them dry? I know the answer to this.
Yeah, I use Liquid Mayhem, and that's something that, dang, I can't believe they making me talk about this. All my secrets are getting loose. But
that's what happens when you come on Jack Live, baby.
Yeah,
we talk about it all.
Yeah, I got some right over here. But Liquid Mayhem is a fish attractant that I've been working with these guys for several years now, and You know, I'm supposed to promote them, which I do. But you know, I hate telling folks because I mean it works. I mean, this stuff's made with real bait. They grind it up and they put it in here and put in that stuff, and it's a great scent. It is unbelievable. And the one of the real main things I like about it is it stays on your bait really well. I mean, it ain't like you put it on and it falls off as soon as it hits the water. I mean, that stuff sticks on there. I mean, you don't want to, you know, put it on your fingers and wipe your eyes because it can get in your eyes. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I'll put it up around the head, up underneath that skirt, and dude, that's all I got to put. I mean, it'll stay on there for the duration of that jig. I mean, it's really that good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Danny Parker wants to know what's the biggest fish you caught on Lake Martin in the last few weeks.
I can't tell him that.
All right, we'll move on.
I tell you, it's between 3.5 and 6 pounds. I give him that.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough, guys. You know that he's fishing Bassmaster Elite Series event there on Lake Martin here, first part of February. So obviously we're not going to give away too much. I know there's several guys on here that'll be competing against him, and I think obviously we want to.
I seen Luke Palmer come across there. I wonder if he's got any questions. Yeah, I seen him come up a while back.
Yeah,
Freddie
I don't know.
Bynog, there's a buddy of mine back home in Louisiana. I know Freddie.
There you
Bynog.
go.
Yeah, I'd say a lot.
Luke hasn't got his package yet, so he probably doesn't have anything to say yet.
Yeah. Probably.
Brad Dunkerley says it's a 9-inch screen with side down and pan optics. I just switched from Humminbird. Any tips to adjusting the unit or setting it up? That was that question on the Garmin's.
Yeah, you can go in there and adjust some contrast and the brightness and stuff of your actual side view. I would recommend that to really fine tune it. It has a lot of detail. I mean, it's really a great unit. The down view. I mean, it's second to none. I mean, you know, the whole units are great. You know, it's got great mapping. You know, what I like about mine, I got a Google overlay. You know, it's got Google Maps that I can actually pop in there and see, you know, different things that I wouldn't normally see with just a regular mapping. So, you know, I use the 7610s, like I said. You know, they have, I guess, the same as what he's got. You know, I'm not familiar with every product they have. I'll just be honest with you, but
sure.
From what I'm hearing, it's pretty similar to mine, and they're great units. They're high details. You know, I find a lot of brush piles, and you see fish, you know, just clear as day on them. So they're really great. And, you know, they're pretty easy to use as well. So you know, I've been with them for a couple of years now, and I'm happy to be with them.
Good deal. We had a question from Chris Smith. Excuse me. How often do you break out a 6-pound spinning rod setup?
Never.
What's the lightest line you'll go on a spinning rod?
I've never used 6 pound.
Yeah.
I've used 8. I've used 8 with a braid leader. I don't go that light. Yeah. You know, I just don't. I just feel like that. I know that, you know, using a light line and it allows a bait to look more natural. And I do downsize in some instances. You know, when I'm throwing a jerk bait or something like that, I'll use 10-pound test line or something, even 8 at times. But it's very seldom, very seldom. I have to be struggling. I mean, really struggling to break that out.
Yep, absolutely. Danny Parker, who was asking about the size fish, he says they have a high school tournament right after you guys are there, so that's why he's asking. I'm sure Danny's one of our team guys, and his son is also on the team with the high school. So I'm sure if you got some tips and some advice for them afterwards, we'll divulge some of that later on. I'm sure we can get into that.
You know, I mean, I hope I have a great event. I mean, I'm nervous as, you know, any other guy probably, but, you know, I'm one of the hometown guys. You got, you know, Kelly J, Greg Vincent, Russ Lane, myself. I mean, we're the closest guys that live to Lake Martin, and you know, those guys have a little bit more history than I do on that body of water. I'm from Louisiana originally, so I've only been fishing it for so long, and I didn't, you know, I didn't really look forward to going to Lake Martin back in the day when I first started
Sure.
tournament fishing. So, but I can catch them there. You know, I've had some good times. I know where to go. I know what to do. It's just going to put it together and make it happen. So,
Sure.
you know, we'll see. I'm just thankful that I get to sleep in my own bed and you know, get to go go fish that club tournament.
Yep. See the kids and wife and all that every night. It's
That's right.
definitely something to be grateful for on when you guys are out there fishing, I'm sure. So
Yes, sir.
Connor Neal, another one of our high school anglers, he says he'll be marshaling one of the elites, actually the one at Martin. Is there anything marshals do that you hate, or just some advice or tips for a marshal that's never done it before? Maybe would be more appropriate.
Well, you know, I talk to my marshals, but I don't like talking when I ain't catching them.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I love talking to them. I mean, you know, if they ask questions and stuff, it's you know, it's a learning experience for them, and I'm happy to teach or explain anything and everything I'm doing. And most
Sure.
of the time I do. I probably talk too much, really, myself. But if I ain't catching them, I don't want to talk. I won't tell you that. I won't say that. But honestly, if I'm struggling, I want to focus. I want to just dial in and figure out what I need to do. But you know, I think that, you know, one of the other guys that I talk to, elite guys per se, that's one of the things, you know, if a guy is like over talking, like just really like asking too, I mean, it ain't too many, you can't ask too many questions, but just
Sure.
really own the guy that's really, you know, he's trying to focus and concentrate on what he needs to do.
Yeah.
I think maybe wait to when you crank up or island around or making a run or something to really ask, you know, getting a conversation, you know, because,
Sure.
you know, we spend all that time out there and trying to find these fish. And when it's game time, we're super focused and we're trying to really dial in because, you know, a lot of times I miss bites, you know, talking or I'll look back and talk to the marshal and a fish will be on and I'm like, oh, I lost him, you know. So in defense to the elite guys, I mean, it can be distracting at times, and we could lose a fish or miss an opportunity. So,
Sure. Yeah, and I think just from a outside looking in perspective, I think just gauging the day, gauging the minutes, and you know
right.
whether
Yeah.
you know just go off of the way their mood is, because obviously if they're wanting to talk, probably don't not talk. You know, definitely engage their conversation because maybe they're trying to get their mind off of something.
You'll be able to tell. It depends on who you with. I mean, if you with me, I mean, I'll talk to you. I mean, don't give me, man, I'll cut up. We'll laugh. We'll have a good time. But some guys, I ain't gonna name no names. You know, you might not get much out of them. You know, that they may, you know, they pretty quiet. So, and it's nothing against them. They just, you know, they just don't talk.
Yep. Absolutely. We got a couple guys on here from South Dakota. Are you looking forward to this Lake Ahoe? I don't know how you even say it. Ahoe?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no. I can't say it either. You know, I've never been to South Dakota. I don't even. Yeah, I have no idea. I've never seen the place. I've not even. I looked at it on Google Earth a little bit, but
sure.
I don't know. I plan on getting up there when everything falls out, probably. You know, this summer, and just looking around. You know, I can't get no information. Please, nobody say.
Yeah.
You know, please, nobody put anything on there. But yeah, I mean, I hear it's a great fishery. It's got a lot of big smallmouth and stuff. So but that's all I know. I don't know anything else about it. But I'm looking forward to going because it's a different place. We've never been there before, and I enjoy going to places like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is going to be an interesting event because I imagine that the majority of the field has never been there. And now with your new info rules, you know, that's going to be a real true as it could possibly get, I would say, as far as similar to that MLF style where there's no information before you guys get there. I mean, you guys obviously get to go pre-practice and stuff like that. But beyond that, I think it'll be interesting. But, yeah, guys, make sure you don't make any comments on any of the lakes that they're fishing this year. You know, they'd appreciate that for sure. So I'm going to throw this one out there. I'm not going to make you comment on this, but you versus Ish Monroe in a boxing match, who wins? That's a conversation there. We'll just leave that one leave that one alone. But
Man, I tell you, it's been what, 2 or 3 years, and we still talk
still
about it.
comes up. Yeah.
That's
No
an
doubt.
interesting deal. He's a competitor. I'm a competitor. It was just a heat of the moment. Things
Yep.
happen. People bump boats. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. I'm not going to, that's all I'm going to say on it. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go any
No, that's
further.
fine. Yep.
I mean, I think he's a great guy. I mean, hey, I have nothing against him. Stuff
Yep.
happens, but
Yep.
I've moved
Absolutely.
on. He's moved on.
Past
Life
is the
goes on,
past.
and we're catching fish, and hey, that's part of life. So
That's right.
yeah.
What type of knot do you use on your jigs?
Man, I just use a polymer knot.
Okay.
I wet it down, and I cinch it down good. I never have a problem with it. Especially with Sunline, I never break off, and if I do break off, it's up the line. It's never at the knot. I hear guys having problems with it. I never have a problem with it. Never, ever. I have no idea. But it's quick. When you're fishing alone and your line's getting rough and you need to retie, I mean, you want to get back in there, and it's something I can just snip off and retie real quick. And that I have no problems with it at all.
Sure. Gentleman Carlos King says, would you like to come back to Winyah Bay in South Carolina for another elite event?
I really would. I mean, that was a great fishery. As far as from Santee River east, in the Cooper River. A few guys caught them, right there close. But man, I was sick. I missed 2 days of practice. I was dog sick. I went to the hospital. I had something. I was throwing up everywhere. But I had a little deal, and of course there was another boat in there, and I had to share with him, and I didn't do as well. But it's really a great place, an interesting place that it's a tidal deal, and I enjoyed being there. I really did. I just wish I would have felt better and been able to really expand on what I found and been able to make a decent run at it.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, we got time for just a couple more questions here. The one thing that I had written down that I know you and I have talked about a little bit before, but how'd you get started into fishing?
Man, I always fished,
As far as competitively, I guess.
Well, yeah, and I'm gonna start at that to help you understand. My love for bass fishing started when I was real little. I'd go wake my cousin up. My daddy said I couldn't go by myself. I mean, I'm talking about young, 7, 8 years old. I couldn't go out there by myself because we had ponds and stuff on our land, and I had to go wake my cousin up to go with me. And he didn't want to go. He was older than me, and man, it started so young, and I didn't care anything about brim or crappie or cat. I mean, I wanted a bass fish. I remember my first bass still today, and and later on in life, I'm playing sports, I'm doing other things, and going to college, and I never knew anything about tournaments. We just didn't. We weren't in that when I was growing up. So,
Sure.
I ended up getting in sports and stuff. So it wasn't until college that I fished my first tournament. When I'd moved to Alabama to go to Troy University, I was at this little local lake in my John boat, and met this guy. He had this nice Ranger, and got to talking to him, and he invited me to go fish a tournament with him, and oh man, after that, once I went and fished that tournament with him, that was it. I mean, it was game on. I mean, my love for fishing, I mean, I wanted to be an architect when I grew up. I mean, I wanted to do all these great things, but when I fished that tournament, I mean, it was just like a snap. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do then, and I didn't let up. I mean, I read Bassmaster. I was ate up with it. So, and I wasn't very seasoned. I didn't know much about it. Everything really started happening real fast. I started fishing these club tournaments, got into the weekend series. 2005, like I was saying, that was my first tournament on Lake Martin. And then got into the Opens in 2008, and didn't do that great. And then 2009, I see Randall Beeson watching. That's my cousin's husband.
There you go.
Yeah. But in 2009, I qualified for elites, and I was not ready. I was not ready at all. But you know, I had an opportunity in front of me, and I was not going to let it go. I went in. I done it, and you know, I struggled a little bit, you know, when it first started, but I slowly started learning, slowly started picking up and starting to understand what I needed to do to survive out there. And man, it was a fight. But I had no sponsors. You know, I didn't have one sponsor till I made the Elite Series. And once I made the Elite Series, I had 2 sponsors in my first year on tour. That's the honest God truth. And you know, all the guys, young guys that's out there trying to make it, you know, that's one thing I wish I would have brushed it up on and got better at is, you know, trying to get better sponsors and preparing myself for what was ahead of me, because I had no idea. I'm just old, you know, country boy from central Louisiana, you know, like to play football, you know, had big dreams and, you know, being an architect, stuff like that fell in love with this tournament fishing. And, you know, it just happened really fast. And, you know, I'm thankful where I'm at now. You know, there's a lot of trials and tribulations, a lot of heartache, but I'm definitely meant to do what I'm doing, and I'll be doing this for a long time.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. One question just on that football kick. What position did you play at Troy?
I wanted to be a running back. I had big dreams. You know, I was a fast white boy.
There you go. There you go. One other question here. Monty Kuhn says, how do you handle the no info rule when people start trying to tell you something? I know when I'm fishing a tournament, I hate the dock under comes down and says there's a brush pile over there, and I always catch one over here. You know, I just think, what do you do in that situation?
Man, you just gotta just block that out. You know, we get that a lot. You know, and for one, we gotta say, whoa, 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 whoa. We gotta stop them. And, you know, you got to just be confident in yourself. Trust yourself. Trust what you found in practice. Trust what your abilities, what you're good at. Don't worry about how somebody else is catching them, because 9 times out of 10, if they're catching them a certain way, I mean, that's their deal. They're doing it a certain way, and it's hard to duplicate that, for one. You know, I've been down that road. I mean, you know, you have to do your deal. You know, fish your fish, you know, be confident, be bold. Say, look, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to figure them out. I'm going to do them my way. I'm going to go out there and kick butt. You know, you got to have that confidence. You got to go out and put your work in, put your time in, and don't worry about it. Let it go in one ear and out the other, because 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. They've either caught them all. If they tell you where they caught them, they either caught them all. You know what I'm saying? And and a lot of other people know about it too. So you don't get caught up in that. That's not good. You know, be smart though. I mean, take information with a grain of salt. And what I'm saying is just, you know, keep it in the back of your mind. All right, fish, or maybe if a guy is truly telling you some information, or he's trying to help you out or get you on a pattern, understand that may be what they're doing at this lake this time of the year, but don't try to do exactly what it is. All right, the fish are in 5 foot of water on laydowns, you know, but they're in 5 foot of water on laydowns. Don't go to where he told you to go, but just kind of expand off that. Keep it in the back of your mind, but just build off that, you know.
Sure.
Fish the way you fish in 5 foot of water on laydowns. Don't go throw a black and blue jig or green, you know, whatever. Do what you do. Go throw a square bill, you know, throw a spinnerbait, you know, do what you do best.
Absolutely. Well, I got 2 more things to do here. We got a little giveaway we're going to do. And basically you got to get your comment fingers ready here, guys, and hit the like button a couple times. But we're going to give away a couple packs of these jigs to the person who guesses a number here. And it'll be the first person that comes up, and we will announce that later. I'll have to go back through these comments to do this. But while you guys are guessing, we're going to rapid fire 10 questions to Keith as well. So get ready. I didn't tell you about this. So
yeah. What's up with that?
What's up with that? I told you we're going to bring out everything for JaKKed Live tonight. So guys, the question is, how many Elite Series events has Keith Poche fished? throughout his career. Don't use Google. Let's just put it on here in the comments, and maybe once we ask all these rest of these questions, we'll ask Keith if he knows the answer to that. You don't know? Yeah, I didn't figure.
I don't know.
That's something that goes in one. You could probably do the math, but
Yeah.
that's a funny deal there. But all right, so let's do this rapid fire here. Get to know you a little bit better. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coke. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. Funniest guy on tour?
Oh, Marty Robertson.
There you go. Favorite boat snack?
Most people don't think it's a snack, but it's a snack for me. It's a ham sandwich.
There you go. There you go. Hey, that's all right. I think I've heard you talk about that on MLF before.
Yeah, that's a snack for me. I eat a lot.
Yeah, there you go. Your favorite lake of all time?
Man, I have to say, it's not a lake. It's a river. It's the Alabama River. I love it, man. Yep. I love it. Absolutely love it.
There you go. Let's see. One bait you can't leave home without?
Finesse jig.
Yeah, we already answered that question pretty well. Your favorite power and length of rod, which we kind of answered that as well. But what's the?
Yeah, it's a 7.0, medium heavy. Yeah, or heavy. I mean, but yeah, one of those two. I mean, you can do anything with those rods. I mean, they're so versatile. I mean, you can pick up any kind of bait and chunk it with those rods.
Yep. You guys need to go higher on your guesses there. I don't think anybody's hit it yet, so go a little higher. And
I've been on tour I just finished my 8th year, so I'll give everybody a hint. But but our schedule changed. I mean, we added more tournaments the last couple of years, so
So you can't do math to get it done.
Right,
then, huh?
right, yeah.
All right. Who's your favorite angler other than yourself, either MLF or bass?
The favorite angler. Oh man, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings.
I hear you. All right, we won't say that. How about your the guy you hang out with most on the road? Let's put it that way.
Man, I'm a loner, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a loner.
All right.
If I had to pick one, I mean, he's not fishing the leads anymore. Was Kurt Dove.
Okay.
Kurt Dove's a cool dude, man. I love Kurt Dove today. He's fishing FLW now. I miss that dude.
Sure.
He's a class act.
Gotcha.
Birdman.
There you go. What about an angler that you looked up to? That'll be a better deal from the past. Maybe one that's not fishing anymore.
Man, I miss him. I miss him a lot. And before I started fishing professionally, there's a guy that I went and they used to do Bassmaster classes, and Bassmaster University. It's different from what a Bass University have today. Zale Rowland, man, there was just something about Zale. I love that dude. He's just a genuine guy. And once I made the tour, I was just like starstruck. When I was able to hang out with those guys and I got to know him and spent time with him. And I still talk to him today. And of course he's fishing FLW, but I miss that guy. I always looked up to him. I always respected him. He's accomplished a lot in his career, and he's one of the legends of this sport. I mean, he helped mold this sport to what it is today, and he's just an awesome dude, man. That can catch them.
Gotcha. Good deal. And the last one, Mercer or Zona?
Oh, Mercer.
Mercer.
That one. I wouldn't even put Zona in that category with him. Mercer is
all
right. But Mercer
is the bomb.
He is the deal.
Gotcha.
I love Mercer. Yeah. Yeah.
Good deal. He's always entertaining for sure. But man, guys, I've seen our number pop up. I'm gonna have to go back and see who was the actual one that said it first. But it's 113 tournaments. Believe that or not?
Wow, that's really. That's not counting opens or anything either, is it? That's just
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's what's on Bass right now, so I don't know.
Okay, I got you.
It may be opens then too. So
yeah.
But anyway, so Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on here. Guys, the website, I know I seen a question earlier, is jackbaits.com. You guys can pick up all this stuff we talked about here on this live. Make sure you guys go over to Keith Poche's angler page and just type in the search box up there, Keith Poche, and like his page, follow him this season. We'll be having you on again. This time went by pretty quick, and I know
How long have we been
of
on?
guys are an hour and 5 minutes already.
Really? Man.
Yeah.
Has anybody got any more questions? I'm all game. Let's talk. Let's talk some fishing.
All right.
I mean,
If you guys got some more.
I'm good with it. I mean,
Okay.
That's
all right. If you guys.
If folks got more questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can answer them.
Yeah, I think we got into that putting the number in there, so we'll let them settle down on that for a minute. But there was another question up there. What's your favorite lake in the north, up northeast, I guess, that you guys go to?
Erie. Yeah, man, I love Erie. It's got some big smallmouth, and I've been up there 3 times. I caught them the first 2 times really well. I thought I was going to win the event, but this past time they kind of let me down. I thought I had some things figured out. And of course, the water was higher, and I think that might have been different to kind of stuff that I fish. I fish out deep, and I don't think those fish there weren't as many out there. And I spent all 3 days in practice when we go on the elites, and I wish I would have spent some time in St. Clair because St. Clair was on fire. But, Erie is phenomenal. I mean, there's fish that we catch that never see the bait. I mean, this lake is so big, and it's just fun to get out there and just whack them. I mean, big ones. I mean, I weighed in one almost 6 pounds this past tournament. I had 4 for like 17 something. So, and I had one almost 6 pounds. So that's the biggest smallmouth I've caught up there. And I caught it this past year on the Elite Series. So, phenomenal place. It's just fun to fish with that, with that 8-pound test line that I very seldom fish with.
Yeah, absolutely. So they had a question there: favorite fish to catch, a largemouth or a smallmouth, or we'll throw in a spot there too.
I'll have to say spot. I have to say a spot. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a Coosa River spot. I live right here where the Coosa and the Tallapoosa come together. Tallapoosa comes from Lake Martin, and the Coosa comes from all your chain of Coosa lakes, Lake Jordan, Mitchell, Lay, Logan, Neely Henry, and they form the Alabama River. They form together like 20 minutes from where I have. They come together right there, and they make the Alabama River. And that's why I like the Alabama River so much. All that dumps in there, and dude, they got magnum spotted bass on the Alabama River and big largemouth. But there's nothing like getting hold of a 4 or 5 pound spot and just letting him rip. I mean, they are absolutely phenomenal.
Yep, absolutely. Talk to us about real quick. You're doing a new deal this year with a guide service that you're offering, kind of offering that up to anywhere in the country. So talk about that, or anywhere in the, I guess, eastern part of the country. I'm going to send you out to California here before too long. Sorry. Go on.
I've scheduled quite a few trips, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I'm very thankful, with some of the guys, and I've done several already, but I wanted to be able to get on one-on-one with guys across the country on the eastern part of the U.S. and kind of, guys that may be wanting to become pro or and it's 2 guys. Now, let's just say it's 2 guys. It's your boat, my boat, and I go fish your body of water, and I help you break it down and show you what I do on MLF style and how to find fish fast. And it's a fun way to meet a lot of people and to see a lot of different places. But we all fish differently, and I feel like that I look at lakes a lot differently than your average guy. And I want to relay that to your normal guy. I want to be able to go in and get in his boat or him get in my boat and show him how I use my electronics, what I do to prepare for it, how I break down those lakes, and, the process that I do to go through and to catch fish like MLF style on the fly with no information and catch big fish. So, I've had a lot of good response from this. I give away free product, a rod to each of the anglers, a free signed jersey, and some Jack jigs, Lucky Strike baits. It's about, $350 worth of product that I'm giving away on this stuff as well. So, you know, it's a win-win situation for everybody. You know, I've met some great people and I've had a lot of fun. So, if you guys are interested, you know, shoot me a message on my fan page, Keith Poche fan page. I'll be happy to talk to you and schedule a trip anywhere in the eastern half of the United States. So I can't go to California, man. I've talked to some people out there, or even Oregon or Washington. I will, but I just don't know if they can afford it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's just why I kept it to this part of the country.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's a great deal, guys. So, you know, he's going to take you out for a whole day, teach you how to do techniques at your lake. And, you know, you're going to have an Elite Series pro guiding you around on whatever lake you want. So that's an unbelievable opportunity that, you know, you're not going to get from a lot of these guys. A lot of them won't, you know, share with you as much information as he's going to divulge to you. And it's a great experience, I'm sure. And I know that he's looking forward to doing some more this year. So I appreciate you guys. Holler at him or holler at me when we can get you in contact or whatnot. Another question from Daryl Williams. We'll call this Jack Live After Hours. All right. How about that? So Daryl Williams says, will the Elites ever go back to Logan Martin? You guys used to come regularly in the past.
Yeah. First, before I get into that, I seen a guy ask a question that, will I bring ham sandwiches? I'll bring you 3 ham sandwiches.
There you go.
2 for me and 1 for you. But
there you go.
Logan Martin, we've had some opens up there. You know, the actual major, you know, tour events was before my time. I don't know. You know, I would assume they would if they would bring an open there with, and that's more boats. You know, you're looking at, you know, 180 plus boats on that body of water. We're actually going there this year for a Central Open. So looking forward to it. But I don't know. You know, that all goes back to, you know, the community, you know, getting in touch with Bass and them working out a deal. You know, I'm not in that. I don't know how they schedule those events, but I would love to go to Lake Martin for a major elite event for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not familiar with this. I'm going to ask you, and we'll see what happens here. But do you know, do you like to fish above Cooter's ponds or below?
Below.
Okay. I don't know exactly what that means, but
Cooter's Pond it's in Prattville. It's like a little oxbow off the river.
Okay. And
that's where a lot of the tournaments go out of. And you know, it's a golf course right there. It's actually a nice place, and it's a good fishing there too as well. So, but sure. I typically go south from Cooter's Pond.
There you go. I had a couple of questions earlier. You know, with this jig, with you involved with this jig, we've also partnered up with the Dylan Kyle Poche Foundation, and we had a couple questions about what that is and what that's all about. And if you want to talk about it, that's fine. If not, I understand completely. Just kind of brief detail about what we're doing with that, or what the foundation does for sure.
Not at all. I don't mind at all, and I appreciate you guys doing that. Yeah, it means a lot to me and my family as well. You know, my nephew, as some of you may know, passed away a couple of years ago. He was at a boat ramp fishing, and you know, but you know, it was a bad deal, you know, real bad deal, and you know, we all are still, you know, struggling from that and having a hard time with it. But you know, we didn't want this incident to go, you know, in vain. We wanted to remember him and because he touched so many people's lives. I mean, he touched my life. I mean, just the kind of kid he was, and you know, a straight A student and loved fishing and wanted to be a pro fisherman. I mean, he was a good angler. And so my brother started this deal. We all started, you know, formed this to help future young anglers that wanted to become a pro fisherman, just to help them any way we can. And typically college, you know, teams, you know,
sure.
I think we've been dealing with Northwestern State University because it's right there where My brother lives, and that's where Dylan was on the. He was about to start his first year on at college at Northwestern, and but we hold a tournament every year, and I believe this next one is going to be March 25th. Which it's all we raise all the money for that to give these scholarships to these kids to be able to pursue their dream like Dylan wanted to do. So
Sure.
Anything you guys can do. I mean, I appreciate Jack donating. I mean, because that's going to a cause. That's going to help a young fisherman that's wanting to be where I'm at, that's wanting to be where Dylan wanted to be. And man, I tell you, I'm so thankful that people have opened up and helped out, and I thank you guys for doing the same. So really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the words on that, and obviously we offer condolences to the family, of course, and I appreciate letting us be a part of that as well. And
Sure.
I think it's important. It's a jig that you helped us design, so we felt it very appropriate to help us give back to that as well. So. Good stuff. What is the biggest key to jig fishing? I know we've talked a lot about, fishing a jig, but if, there's a lot of people that I've come to realize, owning this company that really don't understand a jig or don't know how to fish a jig. And I'm not saying there's a bunch of them on here, but, there's going to be a lot of people watching this replay that, may want to know. We've had comments in the past that said, I fish a crankbait or I fish spinnerbait a lot, but I just don't have any confidence in a jig. So what is a good tip that you would say to help someone learn how to fish a jig?
For one, you got to have confidence in it. I used to hate a jig as well when I first started fishing. I'd hear guys talk about, well, if you want a big bite, you need to throw a jig. And I'm like, I ain't throwing no jig. It's just I throw it, I never got bit on. I was just like frustrated. I didn't like it. But I got introduced to a finesse jig, and I forced myself, and I started having some success with it. And that's the number one thing is having confidence in it. Picking it up and throwing it, because you're not going to get bit on every cast. I mean, you just gotta, and of course, I don't care what you're throwing, unless you're on a big school on a crankbait on a ledge or something. You're not going to get bit with any bait every cast. But particularly a jig, you're not going to get as many bites as you would, dragging a shaky head, or that's just a fact. I mean, it's just not going to happen. This bait is a, and I shouldn't say this, but and it's not real true for finesse jig, but your typical jig, it's just a bigger profile. When it's down in the water, it spreads out. When these tentacles, the strands, they spread out. And it's typically more of a bigger fish bait, because of that. Because it's a big presence.
Sure.
And that's one reason why I like it. But with this finesse one, I catch a lot of keepers as well, just fish in general. But knowing what you're fishing for, whether you're swimming a jig, which can be very, 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 very crucial and be a very good technique, whether you're throwing a football head jig out deep, or whether you're pitching a finesse jig around shallow cover, knowing what you're fishing for, as far as knowing what the fish are keying on, whether it's bluegill, whether it's shad, whether it's crawfish. This is going to imitate a bluegill or a crawfish. I mean, flat out. I mean, that's what it's going to imitate. It's going to imitate both of those. Yep. It kind of covers that spectrum. Shad not so much, but you can get a reaction bite a lot of times when fish are on a shad spawn or whatever. You want to pay attention to what the fish are feeding on, flat out. And if you kind of dial that in, depending on the color, if it's black and blue, if you're brim, that's a good brim color. Knowing that will get you more bites regardless. So there's a lot more to it. It's just a lot more to it than just picking up a spinnerbait. You really need to know certain colors, what to throw, and when to throw it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. two things here. How do you determine what size to use? You said that you fish a 5/16 mostly, but do you normally just pick up a bigger one only if you're fishing deeper, or is there a time that you would pick up a 7/16 even fishing shallow?
Yeah, if the bite's real aggressive, and I'm trying to fish a little bit faster, I will pick up that heavier one because it falls faster. The fish are biting it on the bottom.
Sure.
I'm able to cover a little bit more water, or if I'm fishing it deeper, of course. But when the fish are sluggish, and when you need it to fall behind them, or you need to pop it a couple of times off the bottom and let it fall back down to get that reaction bite, that smaller one is what I'm gonna lean towards.
Sure. Does the wind play a factor in that too?
Some, but I think that 5/16 is big enough that you don't really have to, unless it's just flat out blowing. I mean,
yeah,
but
right.
yeah. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's gonna, that's pretty much going to dictate what I'm gonna throw. Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you ever throw rattles on your jigs?
I don't. I really don't. I don't know why. I never tackled that aspect of a jig, and I don't want to call myself a jig expert by no means. Just to go ahead and say, I mean, I fished a lot. I know a lot about it, but and when it comes to rattling, I'll be honest with you. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I can see in maybe some dingier water, it would play a factor to have to tune in on it, but I don't ever throw one. I think just the fact that bait bouncing around around that dock or in that brush, or that's enough for me. I don't want to be over. Let's not get away from finesse. I think when you start putting rattles and stuff, you start getting away from that finesse, quiet, slow technique. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I'm doing a totally different technique. I'll put a rattle in a flipping bait sometimes when I'm flipping mats or something like that.
Right.
For sure, but never a jig normally. I just don't.
Well, I was watching Swindle talk at a Bass Pro event, and he said, I ain't ever seen a crawfish down there with tambourines going. So he says, I don't ever fish with a rattle in it either. So I see both sides of it for sure. I never do, but, like you said, it's definitely.
Everybody's got their – I mean, I'm not saying the fish is not going to hit it if it doesn't or if it does. It's just whatever you personally have confidence in. Because that goes a long way. And I'll go and tell you, man, confidence is a big deal in bass fishing. I mean, believing in what you're doing will help you make you a better caster, help you make better decisions, and keep you in the game throughout the day. I'm telling you, if you're not confident, you might well put on a trailer because you're not going to catch them. Flat out, you're just not going to catch them. So confidence in what you're doing, whether it's throwing a jig or not, whatever it is, you need to believe in what you're doing.
Yep, absolutely. So a question that come up last week, or let me answer this one while we're still on this jig, but do you drag or hop a finesse jig?
I hop a lot of times. Most of the time I hop because, when I flip it in there and it's, he doesn't hit it on the fall, I'm going to pop it a couple of times because I feel like, especially shallow docks and brush and stuff like that, I'm hopping it because fish are going to be off the bottom most of the time, and I'm hopping it and I want to put it back in their face. But if I'll drag it off a ledge or off a point or something like that. That's when I'll drag it.
Sure. So the question we had last week when we had Jeremy Lawyer on here, this was a great question I found, and he had a fantastic answer for it, and I'll tell you what it was, and once I hear yours. But he said the person commented and asked, "What do you do when you get spun out in a tournament? First, second, third day of the tournament, and you're out there fishing, and something goes wrong, or stuff ain't going right. What works for you?" And what have you done in the past to get the ship righted, or not? I mean, what have you tried? Let's just put it that way, because I bet the wheels come off the bus a little bit at that Bull Shoals tournament that you were talking about.
Oh yeah, quite often.
That third day, but
one thing I do is I sit down and eat my ham sandwich.
It all comes back to the ham sandwich, folks.
You got to have your ham sandwich. Keep your mind right. Yeah.
Is that ham on white bread or?
Oh, it's white bread.
White bread, just straight white Wonder Bread.
I don't do wheat with
Mayonnaise, mustard, cheese.
Both. Cheese,
Both,
yeah,
all.
everything. Load it out.
All
Load it out.
right. All right. Go ahead.
No, man. And you think I'm crazy, but yeah, that's, I will sit down and I will get my mind off of what's going on, for one. And I'll just kind of reset. I'll get me a snack out and I'll get me a drink and I'll sit down and I'll just put my rods down and I'll just take a minute. I'd rather take that minute or two than stay with it and keep making bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just need to sit down and get your mind off of and stop seeing what you're doing, and so you can think clearly and kind of reset everything and get back up and a lot of times you'll be thinking a little bit clearer and start making better decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, Jeremy had pretty much the exact same deal. He said, throw your rods down, strap them down, and go take a boat ride. It doesn't matter if you come back to the same spot or not. Just go do something else to get your mind off of it.
And, whatever works, different things may work for different people,
Absolutely.
Well, we got a question here. Will they punch grass as hard as ish punches? I don't get that question. Maybe he can elaborate on that. I don't.
We rolled over that one. John Norris.
I'd like to answer if he can clarify a little bit.
Yeah. John says, Keith, can you today outfish yourself from 10 years ago?
Without a doubt. Yes. 100%. Yeah. 10 years ago, I was fishing my first open series and didn't have a clue. I was all just excited to be there. And, I think we grow mentally and, as anglers, and we prepare ourselves mentally for what's ahead of us, because there again, we're just talking about getting spun out and getting focused and stuff. It happens a lot quicker, at least to me, because I was so new to the game. I didn't grow up as a tournament angler, so I wasn't seasoned or I wasn't accustomed to being out there or understanding and being through those scenarios and being able to make adjustments. So that's real key. The more scenarios you're a part of, the more situations you're up against, the better equipped you're going to be the next time you go, because you'll think back, oh, wait a minute. This happened this time, and I did this. So that's why a lot of your older guys that are fishing the tours, they're more consistent because they've seen it all. They understand, and they're able to be and they're able to make a quicker decision and break it down a little bit because they've seen it. They understand what's going on, and they're just more mellow and they just let it flow. So the younger you are, some kids just, like my nephew, he just had it. He had the knack of making those quick decisions and making the right decisions. But the more you're at it, the more you do, the better you're going to be at it. Just flat out. Sure. Time on the water is priceless. That makes you a better angler, 100%.
Yeah. Kevin asks, who's a better angler, Keith or your wife?
Oh, come on, man. She doesn't fish too much. She goes with me every once in a while, and she's caught a few. But she's a girly girl. She don't want to take the fish off the hook. And maybe I'm trying to get her into it slowly, but maybe she'll continue.
What about your little ones? What about them? They get into it a little bit?
Oh yeah, they're gun ho, man. I got an 8 and a 3-year-old. They excited. They ready to go. The 8-year-old, she's caught a few bass, and she's ate up with it.
That's good.
Yeah, we subdivision we live, we got some ponds that we got some brim in them, and I'll take them out there and we'll catch a few brim, and they eat it up, man. Just like we always, when we all were kids, as long as we catch something, that's all that matters.
That's right. That's right. David Gainey asks that look away trick when fishing a frog. What are your thoughts? I think he's referring to that Ross Barnett tournament.
I didn't know that until they made that known. I was like, look at it. Yeah. Because when you look away, you stop your bait, and the fish is sitting there watching it, and he pounces on it. So there's something to that. There really is. Sure is.
Well, not only that, but I think for a lot of guys that aren't seasoned with it, it definitely helps, let that fish eat that frog a little better too. I'd say, because you're reacting on the feel of that fish taking that bait as opposed to the sight of it. You know,
you won't jerk
you
him, jerk the bait away from him as too. So
that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Hey, you know what? Everything works differently for every angler. You know, I mean, you just got to find your way and feel your way through. And if you know, if a guy is really, you know, passionate about becoming a pro fisherman and wanting to, you know, do this for a career, I mean, he'll find his way. He puts the time in, puts the hard work in. It'll happen. You know, it's just, you just got to put your time in and be confident and trust your instincts and trust yourself. So
When you get to a new lake, what's the first thing you look to get dialed in? So let's say when you go to that lake in South Dakota, what's the first thing you're going to look at?
Man, I don't want to give my secrets away, but, you know,
No, I hear you.
Well, just like in MLF, no, it's real vague stuff. I'll be honest with you. I go as far as back up a creek or back of a creek as I can go. And I find shallow cover because most of the time you're gonna have residential fish there, unless it's just flat out cold. I mean, you know, just the conditions don't allow it. But most of the time of the year, no matter where you go in the country, you're gonna find residential fish and big fish that live in the back of these creeks. And I've built a career on MLF doing this. I mean, you know, that's one of the things I key on. It doesn't always work out, but when the bite's tough and you're in a bind and you need a fish, you can go back in the back of a pocket, or I mean a creek, a major creek, and find some shallow flats with some grass, some stumps, you know, some buckbrush, and you know, because there's a ditch coming in, there's fresh water coming in, the fish spawn back there, the brim spawn back there, so they're migrating back there for the spring, and they're staying back there eating the brim. So. And and what they'll do is they'll pull out, you know, and they'll pull out on your first drop or the first major, you know, if there's a bridge, you know, there's a causeway or a bridge, they'll pull out to that and wait for that, you know, the brim to start spawning, or the fall whenever the shads start going back. So typically a major creek, the back of a major creek may not have a huge amount of fish, but it's always got a certain amount and a few good ones.
Sure. John Booten asks, when you make a 12 cut, what angler do you not want to see in the 12 cut against you?
Man, any of them, to be honest. I mean, you know, I mean, these guys are so good. I mean, we got guys coming from FLW. We got rookies that's coming, that's making elites, and they're all great fishermen. You know, I mean, I can pinpoint a couple, but, you know, at any given day, any angler on the elite series is capable of winning a tournament and catching them. I mean, you just look at, you know, some of the guys that won this year. We had rookies win, we had veterans win. I mean, dude, you just never know. I mean, anytime you make the top 12, you're part of a group that normally catches them. And, you know, I normally make a top 12 or two every year. I've been close to winning some, but I just, you know, for some reason I can't close the deal. I mean,
more ham sandwiches.
I need some more ham sandwiches. I'm gonna get on my wife, make me some more ham sandwiches. But no, dude, you really have to have 4 solid days. And, you know, I mean, it just happens, you know, one day it's going to happen, and you can't force it. You just got to keep doing what you're doing, keep doing what you believe in, and let it come. You know, the classic in 2012, my first classic, I led it the first day. You know, I got big fish. I caught like one almost 7 pounds. The fish I was on, I was averaging 17, 18 pounds a day, and I blew it the second day. I just didn't execute. Just did not execute. Nerves, whatever, excited. You can call it what you want, but I just didn't get it done. So, and a lot of times that's the difference. Guys that win, they make those adjustments and they execute and they keep it together for those 3 or 4 days, and they prevail. Yes, the Red River. Terry Noel. Yep, Red River.
That's right.
I just, you know, hey, you know, and it, man, that really hurt. It really hurt me. It changed me as a person. It really did. I was affected by that because I was so close to history, you know, to making history and establishing myself, you know, as a pro angler, you know, and write myself in the history books to be a classic champion. Yeah. You know, so, hey, we just got to keep plugging on and get back there and get it done next time.
That's right. That's right. Just go win this first one, and you can go on back.
Yeah. Well, no, there's no more winning you in on the elite. So
Oh well.
that's
Win
just
this
over.
first one and the next one and the one
Right.
after that. You'll be doing all right for
Yeah.
points.
Exactly.
How about that?
Exactly. That'll
So.
work.
Well, good stuff, man. Well, I'm going to let you get. It's almost 10 o'clock your time, and I appreciate you being on here. Guys, remember Keith Poche on Facebook, Instagram. Just search that. We'll put a link in here as well. Kevin, if you're still in here, go ahead and tag him in here, and so people can jump on that. Guys, jackbaits.com. Check out some of the jigs. The Keith Poche Pow-R Finesse Jig is there. Fully stocked, ready to rock, and we appreciate you coming on tonight, and we'll do this again for sure. So probably right after you get the job done over there at Martin. So we'll be all rooting for you, and leave it up to the man upstairs, and you'll be all right. So guys, have a great evening. Keith, thank you so much, and we will talk at you soon.
Thanks, Tom. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys, and remember, don't just hook 'em. JaKK'em. See you guys.